is like weirdly notorious for it, and I feel like they should be better at it, because I run these like events at work as well, and we do like a lot of like AFL related kind of ones, where it's like they're doing like a guest speaking kind of thing. But footballers, they fucking
all the time.
I remember like we had like Jared Roughhead, and he was like holding it like what are you doing?
I've had that happen,
and he was like pointing it at like the chair. It's like he's got his own mic.
That's
like you don't need to point it at him.
You forget. That's good, man. Yeah, wow. Well, Alex, thank you so much for coming on. And do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. I mean, just my name. I'm Alex Macfarlane, and I'm on the podcast today.
I appreciate you spreading some love with it too.
Of course.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, you've had like a pretty illustrious set of guests.
Yeah.
A lot of friends and familiar faces on there. So it's been cool to watch it.
No, I appreciate it, man. Did you want to? I mean, you talked a bit. I guess like growing up, you mentioned like Hampton Street and Brighton Secondary, and that's sort of what I mentioned, like being from that area too. Yeah. And going to school to Brighton Sec and that sort of thing. Did you want to? Just mention like what was like growing up and music influence, all that sort of shit. Yeah, I mean, it was sort of not a super like regular upbringing, I guess. Like I was living with my mum for a little bit, and then she moved to Geelong. And she was like, all right, you can either move to Geelong or you can move in with your dad. And I was like, man, these are two shit choices, but I don't want to go to Geelong. I mean, I feel like I always like accidentally like diss my parents on podcasts. But, if they're listening to this, big fan of both of them. So I moved in with my dad at like the start of high school. And it was like a real sort of bohemian kind of like hippie den. Like he was not working at the time, and I was just sort of like going to school and then just going straight to work afterwards to kind of cover the bills and shit. And lived in like a 1-bedroom apartment together, where the living room was my bedroom / the room that like everyone just jammed in all the time. So like I got sent like a photo the other day, and it was like these dudes who I didn't even recognize, like with like bongos and stuff, just like basically sitting like where I was trying to sleep before going to school. So it's like, what are you people doing in my room? But that was kind of nice. And then, nice, but it didn't like equate to like a stable kind of like schooling. But it certainly meant that there was like a lot of music all the time. And then when like by the time I was like 13 or 14, I was playing in bands, and we could all practice there, because it was like in between 2 banks, and like on top of a shop, so there was like not many neighbors, so you could be like as loud as you wanted. And I still get people now being like, when I mention like where I was growing up, they're like, oh, you were that band. Like they could like hear it because it was right near the train station. So people were like, like walking from the train station to like, Woolworths or something, and like would hear this awful noise coming out of this shop. But it was pretty constant, so like you had a pretty good chance of like walking past when there was something happening. Well, especially like Hampton Street, it's not like
it's pretty square.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like when my dad first moved into that area, it was slightly more interesting. There was like a record store, and there was like a comic book store.
That's
which was like they were phased out like almost, like immediately from that time. But it used to be a little bit cooler, and there was like a weird like open mic night cafe and kind of shit, but now it just sort of became Brighton too.
Yeah, that's what.
But it used to have like a little bit more of its own personality, I guess, which has been sort of effectively bred out, as it seems to in most areas.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, so crazy man. So your dad was big influence early on.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Like what? And do you remember, what was he like playing stuff all the time? Or like,
yeah. I mean, I recorded some new tracks for him the other day.
So he's still.
Yeah. He had like he had a new song that he needed to record about how pissed off he still is about the referendum result. And I was like, sure, I'll record that for you. Mm-hmm. He's like a really sort of like, I don't know, he's a super passionate kind of guy that's always been like very involved in sort of politics and music. He's sort of like, I mean, he didn't like give it like a super serious go as a musician, I guess, but he was like extremely good at kind of fostering anyone who came through. Like my sister's friends would sort of come past and jam with him, and then my friends would come past and jam with him, and he'd just like play, blues kind of stuff, and then like people would just practice their lead guitar over the top.
Amazing.
And he just sort of like would always be cooking. That was kind of the deal. It was like, all right, well, if I'm going to be working and going to school and like, you know, paying the bills out of like my youth allowance, then you need to be cooking all the time. And so it's just like anyone who came through was just like there was always a beer and a cup of tea and like usually a pasta cooking.
Amazing.
Which was, yeah, pretty like, it was one of those things where I feel like he's still in contact with like heaps of my friends as well. So it's just like, just became like one of the mates, I guess, which was cool for my friends, but like a bit like weird as a parent, I guess.
Yeah, great. How do you find? So they're still in contact with a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, like people still drop in on him and stuff, and you know, I feel like my whole family, like both my sisters and my mum as well, are super supportive of, you know, anything that I was doing, and always came to a lot of shows. So I feel like they were like a lot more present than anyone else's parents. Like I've got like friends who like, you know, I've known for 20 something years, and I've never met their folks, but like everyone kind of knows well, not everyone, but anyone who's like sort of been to any gigs that I'm playing or anything has usually met someone from my family, either because they're like causing a scene or because they're being chill occasionally. I don't know.
Yeah, that's special. So they were always like supportive when.
Yeah.
Do you remember like when you first wanted to be, or your first band wanted to be in a band? Like
my first band was with my dad. I feel like he was like, you should play drums or something so that I could be in his band, which was just like a 2-piece band that was called Aquatic Monkey that never really played shows, but it was just like his kind of protest songs and me banging on bongos. And then, then I was sort of like playing in my own bands from when I was like 13 or 14. And having that space to sort of be able to practice was, you know, quite unique, I guess, in that area.
Was there anything else that you ever were drawn to, like, you know, in school? Or did you think about like, was school never like, I don't know, going to uni or just
I mean,
was it always just like, you know, you knew you were going to be doing what you're sort of stepping into now?
Kind of. I mean, like it was sort of like, it was never like a considered thing. It just kind of was what was always happening. Like I think that I was sort of more drawn to visual art first. Like I sort of wanted to, like I was like, I'm going to be a cartoonist. I thought that like that would be cool, and I always liked drawing. But then sort of that just became like drawing for. Oh, my flute fell over. How embarrassing. That was just sort of immediately became like drawing for like flyers or CD covers, and that like I was putting out like a lot of CDs in school under the name Major Macfarlane, which was like terrible music, like full like ridiculous like Primus worship kind of nonsense. With like all of my friends would like do like guest verses on it and stuff, and we'd like do kind of like radio plays and that kind of shit. But that sort of like any visual art that I was doing just ended up being like the cover art for those CDs that I was handing out around school. Music sort of like, I don't know, always seemed like a good idea to, or a good like vehicle to, because I was like writing as well as like, you know, but music allowed me to sort of have something to put the art on and to write for, I suppose, because like I never like had any aspirations to be any of those things.
So seriously. Like writing wise, like always just for yourself or stories or stuff?
Like I mean, like I always had like typewriters and stuff, and I'd always just be like just writing, just freeform kind of stuff and cutting it up and putting it all back together. Like always like was really interested in words and like using words incorrectly or like cramming words into places where they shouldn't be and that kind of stuff. But again, that was something that just found its place in music over anything else. Like it didn't really stand up by itself. Like I still don't really think that I'm very good at writing lyrics, but if like you put like a sick riff behind it,
or a
fine.
synth or something, exactly. It's like a whole different.
Like you can get away with it. I don't think that like anyone would want to like listen to me speaking, which I guess they are doing right now in theory. But I feel sorry for them.
Right. So that was like taking you to. So it seemed like all different music, animation, cartoon, and like just like,
I did do like a brief animation course
really?
There was like this art store on Hampton Street that they did like, which I mean surely it's not still there.
I don't
but it was like they did these like weekend drawing courses where like learning to draw like comic art, and there was like a little bit of animation in there where you could like, you know, like paint on acetate and then like scan it and do all that, which was cool, but I didn't really like explore that much further.
No, that was really
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I gave it a go briefly.
Yeah. So music was like, because I was reading to, I mean, the Gimme interview you did was great.
Yeah.
I was just reading like how you were saying like how music just seemed like I don't know if it was easy, she said, but like getting that idea out was just like, sort of what you're saying compared to like filmmaking or something where I think you mentioned like where there's so many other layers and things
totally it seemed really easy like to just like, I think that also because like as soon as I was getting more seriously into making music, I was also like, I was recording everything. Like I always had like, like a like a little Tascam or like, then got like my first computer and stuff. And so everything was just recorded all the time. And the computer had a CD burner. So I was just like, I can record something in this room, burn it, and then it's out. Yeah. And, like it just seemed so easy to get from the point of having the idea to having it out.
Do you think that's important? Like, well, not important, but like, you think of other art forms, like you maybe have this idea for a film or something, and it's like, you can't really do that in your room right now. Like it's going to take, or whatever, there's other.
I think that like the immediacy of music and like, DIY music is really important for me because like, if I overthink anything, then it just wouldn't come out. But the fact that you can just like be done and then, almost immediately have it out. Like, I mean, I wouldn't, if I was working in like another field, I probably wouldn't have put anything out. Like I've got friends who are filmmakers or friends who are writers, and they've been like working on like the same project for so long, and it's just like, man, when are you going to put that book out? Like when are you going to put that film out? And it's like, I got to get like, this person to do this and this person to do this. And, for me, music has always been so like immediate. And also like in like Melbourne, there are so many places to play shows all the time. So it's like, before it's a bad idea, you've already played it live. And then it's just kind of like locked in and done.
It's sort of nice having that, like not having it. And I think you mentioned it too, like with, like you put out something, you don't have to like think about it too much because you're already onto the next song or album, like
totally.
Like I can see by doing, even sometimes when I've done a couple, just podcasts, maybe I've done a couple in a row, just been thinking about it, like you don't think about it too much. It's like, okay, I've done that one, maybe it wasn't perfect, but I've already got instead of like if I were to do it, if it was like maybe like you start to maybe
I mean it's really easy to overthink stuff, and I feel like even like times that I've done anything with like a bigger label or something, and you're kind of like fitting into a schedule because they're like a professional label. There's like, you do have that extra time to be like, fuck, I should have changed that. And like I hate that, like the gap between finishing something and releasing something. I feel like that's when it seems like that's when like artists like really have like a bit of like a kind of like depressing lull. They're just like waiting for this thing to come out that they've thought about too much. Whereas if you just like chuck something out immediately, you don't have that time to second guess, and you can just kind of move on.
So you really just try to like get it out, like not over. I mean, obviously you're going over.
Oh man, whatever, like I overthink it heaps when I'm making it. But then like the second that it's done, it's like pretty much as soon as like I hit, well, for solo stuff at least, it's like as soon as I hit like half an hour of material that I like, I'm like, all right, so I'll ditch the like 20 hours of stuff that won't make the cut, and I'll put out this half an hour right now, and I will not think about it again. Aside from when I was like, I did a bunch of like solo shows last year, and then I had to like relearn all of the songs, and I was just like, I don't know if I really like this. Like it feels better to just kind of like keep moving forward, and
not
sort of any mistakes that I've made on the last release, I'll try not to make again. Rather than try to sort of correct them before it comes out. I mean, it does mean that I've released a lot of shit music, but it does mean that there's been a lot of it at least. It's definitely like quantity over quality, I think.
Because I was looking on, obviously with Hobbies Galore, your label and stuff, you've put out a lot of your own solo stuff. Like there's at least how many albums up in there? Like at least 10 or something. I don't know.
Something like that. I don't know. But under my name. At least. I was doing stuff under other names before. Before that. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, I feel kind of like, because it's like, I mean, it is a label, but it's kind of not really like a proper label. Like it's not like a business, or like there's no like, like idea, and I don't really do much like promo or anything, but I do feel kind of bad that like I'll put out records for like really good bands like, like Reality Guest or like, like Greenchild before I joined that band, and Possible Humans and all these bands like I really love. And then, you know, like people will start like following the page because they're like, oh, there's like they're gonna put out like another thing like this, and I'm like, sorry, it's just another tape from me. Sorry, folks.
That's a hard one, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, I mean, I hope that I'll have to ask the people that I've been putting out if they mind, or if I should like just have like one thing where I just put out my stuff and then another one, so that I'm not kind of like piggybacking on all these like better people's albums.
No, you can't. But I know what you mean. Like it's a whole like bands, because a lot of them are like people you're close with. Is that, would you say, are they?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of like the number one rule for me is like I've never put out anything for someone that I haven't met.
Yeah, right.
You know, or like hung out with, or a lot of the time it's like an album that I've like helped with in some way. Like I've either, you know, recorded it, or like the friend has been like sending me demos from the start of the project, and I've, you know, put in my like unwanted opinions and that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's all stuff that like, yeah, like I feel like quite attached to, like even before it comes out.
Well, I mean, you're a fan, you said, of obviously like even Greenchild and Mikey or whatever, Ravens. Yeah. And then to be able to like put out, that must be pretty...
Totally, yeah. I mean, like I was pretty stoked to put out like Mikey's first ever solo release.
Yeah, that was a good...
and that was just like, you know, I think that, you know, he's also someone who likes to sort of like work pretty privately and then just put stuff out and then move on. And so I think that, yeah, like I've been happy that I can sort of like help other people who are like that, where it's just like these no fuss kind of releases where you don't need to do like this whole video clips and photos. I mean, I think that stuff is like totally fine, like if you're good at it and if you like it, but it always seems really weird when someone's not into it and it seems kind of forced. Like I think that like totally like bands that do video clips and like do, you know, photos and like heaps of like promo posts and that kind of shit, like it works. But it's sad when it doesn't. And I feel like if I was doing it, it'd be like, it'd seem really whack and forced.
Yeah. So that was never like, I mean, it seems like you never got into music for like any of that sort of, not to say there's anything wrong with that, but it's always just been about like the process, doing it, like
totally, like it's like the making it that I like doing. And I do like, I mean, I somewhat like touring. Like I like touring in like the metal band that I'm playing in and stuff, because that seems like a very live format. Like it seems like, and that's the kind of thing where it's just like there's like this built-in kind of like scene for that music everywhere in the world. Like you'll play in like Copenhagen and like meet all these awesome people, and then you'll play in like Jakarta and meet all these awesome people, and you're like, wow, this is just like feels like being at home. You know, and that I do feel like that, like touring that kind of stuff kind of makes sense, but I feel like if I was like pushing like any other project in that same way, it would feel kind of unusual. I think that also like certain genres are more linked to that, I guess like touring and merchandising and doing that kind of stuff. Like for some reason it just seems to make sense to push like physical media for metal kind of stuff. And that would feel quite weird if I was like, I'm just going to go on a tour for my solo thing. You know, like, and I'm going to play here and here. Like that would seem kind of like I was just doing it for myself. Whereas with certain bands, it kind of feels like you get the invite to go somewhere and so you go do it. Which is always like, it's always really nice to be asked to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can't remember what I was talking about.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, no, it's great. I think, but yeah, I think of like certain, even like ambient or electronic sort of, like I think I've been loving like Boards of Canada at the moment. Actually, one of your tracks actually reminded me, the Jess track.
I've
been having that on repeat.
Oh, cool.
Off the Meandering album. But yeah, I've just been thinking about that.
Yeah, no,
but yeah, I don't. Did you have any influence from them? I'm just curious. Or did you ever listen to them?
Yeah. I mean, definitely have listened to them. I like a lot of like adjacent stuff to them. I feel like they're one of those bands that like they had like such like a drastic effect on like I guess like homemade electronic music that like everyone started aping that sound for so long that when I hear them, I hear all the bands that came after them a bit. They certainly like, like they hit me when I first heard it, but now it's just like there's so much of that like, you know, like chill, like kind of like warbly kind of stuff that, you know, I do definitely like, but it's kind of like a loaded listen for me now for some reason because it does remind me of like this sort of like a weird like internet culture of like nostalgia that I don't really buy into.
Yeah.
But you know, they're definitely extremely good at what they do. Yeah. And I have been told that it sounds like that before, so I'm like, that's
cool. Yeah, I just had just some of the sort of synthy electronic sort of, not to like group stuff, but I just had
group away, go for it.
But yeah, I mean, I love how the elements of the album too is like goes from like you singing and then having like a song like that.
It's pretty erratic.
Yeah. So it was always about like the recording. Like, what do you think music's like giving you the most? Is it like the meeting and collaborating and being able to like have Hobbies Galore, which has led to, you know, being and playing with Greenchild and being in that, and or like, you know, what everything else that's sort of
I guess like
has it like changed early on from when you like started when you were a teen to like, you know, being in your 30s now and stuff?
No, I mean, it's like it's kind of remained like exactly the same. Like I feel like, I mean, like certain things have like gotten, I guess, like bigger or something. Like I mean, definitely like Faceless Burial is kind of like, we've gotten a lot more opportunities than I ever would have expected when we started out.
Yeah.
Like that is something that sort of like has kept growing. We've made like a lot of friends all over the world and get to, you know, play shows with bands that like I like idolized like back in the day, which is kind of crazy. And then, I feel like that has changed somewhat in like the sort of the connections that you make over years of sort of just like meeting like-minded freaks, I guess. But it's like, it's just a gradual thing. Like it doesn't really feel like that different. It just feels like you're just like meeting more and more of like people that you get along with in like, and that sort of like circle just gets broader and broader, and you know, the world gets smaller, which is, that aspect of it I suppose has changed, but like the intention and the way of doing things has remained the same since I was since I started making music. I guess like that has really not changed. It's just like, it's just really something that it didn't seem like there was like another option.
Yeah, really.
It's like that was just kind of like what I did. Like, you know, when you just wake up and you're like, oh, I don't have anything to do today, and like I'll make some tunes.
That's crazy. So you always like, there couldn't be anything else. I think, well, that's when you know you're in the right thing, when you can't see yourself doing like, obviously you've stepped into, you know, different things, but like it
I think like, I guess like also like, it never like like I never like had the illusion of it being like a job.
That's cool.
I guess like, and even like my dad again was just like, oh, so you're gonna play drums? It's like, you better like get a job. And I was like, okay. So like I've just always worked like constantly, and it's never really seemed like that gets in the way of music. It's almost like it sort of allows me to make music purely for that task, you know. It's just like cool. there's no motivation to do anything outside of that that, you know, you need to do to sort of like get a living from it. I think also it's just, that's really hard to do in Australia because there's no touring circuit here. It's like, you know, you can't just, and that's the way that you sort of like become like a, you know, professional musician, I guess, is like you're just touring all the time. And I like being home way too much. And that's, I feel like touring kind of like makes you make less music in some ways. Like you're playing every day.
And you're also playing more of the older stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
What you said, you're not able to like that thinking ahead thing as much if you're on tour like 24/7.
Totally. And even like with like it, like with the recent Greenchild shows and stuff, it's like we were just like writing and recording heaps of stuff for that last record, and that was really fun. And then doing shows, it's like that stops. You're just like, we got to practice the set because we got this show coming up. And so then it's like, you know, if you've got like a show in a month, you're like, every time you get together, it's just like playing the old songs, which I like. And like that band in particular has been like quite challenging for me, like technically in terms of like, you know, programming sounds and playing keys live, which I hadn't really done that much of before. And also like trying to like sing in tune with Raven. Like that's a challenge which I like, but it does stop the writing process like almost entirely. And you've got to like we were talking at practice the other night, and it was just like, we got to stop doing shows. Like, like we need to work on some new shit. And same with like Faceless as well, like because we just did the like Iron Lung tour and did like a New Zealand tour, and then at the end of last year we brought out Undergang from Copenhagen and Miasmatic Necrosis from New York, and like that was all really fun. But it's just like, we really got to finish the next record. Like that's what, you know.
So it's hard to balance the two.
Yeah, just like, just time. It's like, and you're just practicing for these shows, or like, we've for some reason with that band stepped into like bringing friends bands over, which like takes like a lot of like, we're not very like good at it, but it takes like a lot of planning and like, you know, like getting visas and like
of course,
booking accommodation and making sure that like these people are going to be happy when they're here. And that takes up like a lot of time that otherwise you would just be sitting there like with the guitar writing something. Which I mean, like it's all part of the same thing, but I feel like it does need to be like compartmentalized in that way where it's just like, we're going to stop playing for a bit. And you really have to like set like a hard rule, because otherwise like you just keep getting asked by like friends and stuff. It's like, oh, do you want to play like this show next month? And you're like, well, I mean, I'll be going to the show anyway, so may as well play it. But then that, you know, you kind of forget that when you agree to something in like 2 months time, you're also like agreeing to be preparing for that as well, which then takes up that whole block.
Yeah, that's so different.
Which is like, you know, it's, again, like it's all part of the same kind of thing, but like it does, in my head, like everything needs to be really...
Do you like to like have, you know, I mean, recording time, like I'm making music time and I'm in my like touring.
Totally, yeah.
Is that how you sort of, interesting.
Yeah, but it is sort of like, you know, I guess like when opportunities come up, like if, you know, like a band that you really like asks you to support them or like something like that, it's just like, it's really hard not to just do it, but then you are sort of like sacrificing some writing time. And I guess like writing and working on new stuff is what I always really like doing. I mean, I like playing live, but it does also really stress me out.
Does it? Do you get like nervous, anxious before?
Like not so much nervous, but it's like I feel like I really like prepare a lot, like even like if I've got like a practice coming up with like a band that I haven't played with for a while, I'll be like practicing the songs before practice. In like the couple of weeks leading up. Like after this, I've got a jam with my friend Francis Plan, who I've been playing with for a while. But we've got to practice tomorrow. But tonight I will be relearning those songs because I don't want to like turn up unprepared and like waste other people's time. You know, like and not everyone does that, but I like tend to stress out about that kind of shit. Like I don't want to like disappoint these people.
That's cool. Would you say you're like perfectionist?
No, definitely not. Like, I mean, like, I think that, like, kind of the opposite in that I think that I'm not that good at anything, but I am kind of good at being like prepared. That's so cool. It's like, you know, like I feel like, you know, like I couldn't like step into like any band or any role and like, you know, play adequately, but I feel like if I know that something's coming up, I can like prep for that.
That's good, man.
A lot. And that sort of like, that's where the stress is. So usually by the time that I get to doing a show, I'm not that stressed about it because it's...
You've done it.
Like, like it's I feel like ready for it. But like none of it, like it doesn't... Yeah, especially like playing other people's songs. I feel like I can play my own stuff quite comfortably, but playing other people's stuff, it's like the way that other people's brains works is like really... I mean, obviously it's not...
Because they're like... These are like their ideas and shit. I can imagine like trying to... obviously it's... but I sort of get what you mean. As opposed to when it's
I feel like,
stuff,
like working with like... Especially like, this guy Francis, he like writes these like 17-minute songs with like no repeating parts and like these like really kind of hard to grasp lyrics and stuff that it's quite like if I don't like study the tracks, then like there's no bit to be like, oh, well, this is the chorus, so this goes like this. It's just like it keeps going. And I guess like, I mean, Faceless is like that as well, where it's just like it's just constantly changing and challenging, and then Greenchild's challenging as well. So I guess if I was playing in bands that I found easier to be in, then I would probably like prep less, but it's all like ended up being like slightly technical by my standards, I guess.
But also all those bands, a lot of the bands that you're in are so different sonically. It's like your solo stuff compared to the Greenchild, compared to Faceless Burial, you know, like it's so... do you like have like Alex in each like I don't know, like do you have it like that too, like just playing live and all these different sounds?
Kind of. I feel like it all genres. Kind of like bleeds into each other a little bit. Like I feel like I was kind of worried that like when I like joined Greenchild, because I was like already a big fan of the first two things which I put out on the label, and I was like I love that band. And then I joined and I was like putting like these like silly kind of like metally kind of solos in it and stuff, and I was like, should I be doing this? And they're like, yeah, it's sick. And I'm like, am I wrecking this band? Like potentially, I don't know. But it all like, you know, there's always like a silly kind of like proggy kind of like whimsy that comes into everything, which probably shouldn't be there. But yeah, like it's to me, like it, like I'm definitely like aware that it would seem almost like illogically disparate to a listener, and like that if for some reason someone likes one thing that I'm doing, they probably won't like the other thing. But for me, it just always feels like the same thing.
That's cool.
And I mean, I was just always kind of doing different stuff, like you know, like even like the first things that I was recording was like I'd be doing one thing which was like, you know, like Donovan and George Harrison covers, and then I'd be doing like a one-man like grindcore band, and it just seemed like there wasn't a difference between those two things. But then someone would be like, what, like, why are you doing this awful band called Vomiting Knobs when you're also doing this? And I was like, well, because that's all the same thing, isn't it? Like it's like, to me, it was all just like under the genre of like home recording. It was like just something that I did at home. Not like I didn't feel like it was in, you know, like a illogical pairing or something. It was just like different sides of the listening, I guess.
But also like different sides, I'm sure, of yourself and facets. Like we're not just one. It's not like we look at one and it's like, I mean, we try to do that in terms of like boxing people into like one sound. Or you see like a punk head or whatever person, you're like, they can't just like, you know what I mean? Like,
there's definitely, I mean, there's obviously some, like a lot of stuff that I wouldn't do in certain bands that I do in other bands. Like I'm not going to like get up on stage with like, you know, like when I was in the Twerps or something and start like windmilling and like, you know, like trying to like get like a pit going and stuff. Although no, I feel like I did actually do a little bit of that, but I probably shouldn't have. You know, like you don't like want to be playing like a really twee show and then do like a circle pit motion kind of thing. I mean, it would be sick if it started.
I'd love to see that.
But that actually, like, weirdly, tangent totally is a thing that like there's moshing happening at like a lot of non-metal shows now. Like I see like all this like footage of like, you know, like current pop stars and stuff like playing at, you know, like Coachella or something.
You
like
see
a pit.
Like, even like I saw like even artists like Travis Scott or something. They'll like with this big like there's a drop and like kids are like
it's really unusual. But I mean, it's kind of sick. Like I mean, like it doesn't like anything that has like, you know, I guess a drop of some sort is like, why couldn't you mosh to that? I mean, why does anyone mosh at all? But it's just like, it is a weirdly satisfying kind of like
100%
thing that has obviously stuck around and is expanding, if anything.
I've definitely been at some hip-hop shows where there's been a mosh for like and
I reckon that's, you know, sick. I guess like anything, like it makes sense with like metal and hip-hop, I guess, because they're both like quite extreme. And so like I guess people are gravitating towards those sounds because they have something that they want to like get out in some way, and so that kind of makes sense. But if it's just like a full pop show and there's like people like jumping up and down, that kind of seems a little bit for some reason to me seems odd. But you know, people should express themselves however they want, as long as they're not harming anyone. But then some people do harm people in the pits, you know.
What's it like in like metal? Like, because I've never been like, you know, been to maybe, you know, obviously punky but hardcore a little bit, like, but I've never. You see it a bit more with like like the like elbows and like in how does that happen at like Faceless? And like it, you know, it's cool when like, you know, you go overseas and, you know, people are reacting like that. Like I remember like when we played in Jakarta, it was like this like really like this amazing venue, which was like a semi-abandoned music school with like all of these like rooms with like untuned pianos in them and shit, and the band room was like really, really small and the hottest that I've ever been in my life. Like it was so hot, but people were just like full circle pitting and stuff, and I was like, this bit's in like 7-8 time signature, like why are you circle pitting to this? But it's sick because it like, you know, it definitely like, it's a weird thing where like you feel kind of like appreciated, and you can kind of like gauge that the audience is engaged with the show in a way that if you're playing, you know, like when you're playing like ambient kind of stuff, like obviously there's nothing to like latch onto beat wise, so like I rarely look out at the audience, but like on the rare occasion that I have at like a solo show, you just see like confused faces, like no one's even like nodding or anything, and I'm like, is this the worst thing people have seen? That's so, I never thought of that.
I know that like if I was watching someone doing that, I'd be doing the same thing. Like I wouldn't be like, you know, if there's nothing to latch onto.
That's so true. Whereas like that, I never thought of that. Whereas like obviously metal shows hardcore, like you're seeing a lot more of the response.
You get that like immediate feedback, which like, you know, certainly for me is something that like, it's a cliche, but like you do feed off it. Like, and because also I guess like with that kind of stuff, it's like I'm fucking like thrashing around like an idiot on stage. And if I'm doing that and no one else is moving at all, you really feel like a clown.
Yeah.
So if everyone's clowning, it's kind of fine. But yeah, like some people it's more prevalent at like sort of hardcore shows that like there's like this weird like competitive pit kind of thing where like dudes are like turning up in like, there's this weird trend that I've been noticing where like people are turning up in like gloves. Right. Like pit mittens, right? Which I mean, that's not what they call them, obviously. But like these like leather gloves, and they're like doing like they're doing like parkour in like the pit kind of thing. It's just like, man, you guys came prepped. That's like wild, you guys are like fit and like ready to do this. And I'm just like standing back, like don't hit me.
Well, it's only natural for like stuff like that to evolve. Like
you know,
like
it's people are like really kind of like turning it into its own thing. It's like as much of a thing as the band playing. It's like and people like. You know, like they know like when the breakdown's coming up and everyone kind of stands back.
Yeah. Wild, man. So like, what's the reception like like when you tour internationally, what's that sort of like as opposed to just playing, you know, locally and stuff, you know, when you've toured, even like I was going to ask with like the whole Twerps era and how big that got and like that international more, you know, like how do you
I mean, the like the Twerps touring, like that was like one of those things that, because I was kind of like a sub-in drummer at first, because the other drummer couldn't do the tours, and then I just ended up being like the permanent drummer from that point. But that was like one of those things where it was like they were like big tours, and we were playing like big festivals, like you know, like playing like huge festivals in like Barcelona and stuff, where it was like playing with like these like huge bands on like those like lineups where it's just like the biggest names you've ever seen, and then like we're like way down the bottom. And I'm really glad that like I got to do all of that stuff, if anything, to just realize that I didn't necessarily want to keep doing it like that, because you almost become like kind of anonymous at those events, and you're like planted there as like a weird like Australian novelty or something. And you know, everyone's kind of like, look at how like wildly unprofessional these people are, isn't that charming? And that kind of thing. That probably sounds kind of negative, but I'm really glad that I got to do that, because I suppose like a lot of people don't get that opportunity to sort of like do that level of touring where, you know, there's like catering and like you know, you're like flying around in like a little jet to like get to like the venue and that kind of stuff. Like we were on this like really small aircraft, and it was like just for some reason the Twerps and Electric Wizard, that like doom band, and it was like really turbulent, and I was like, am I gonna like die on a plane in like Barcelona with Electric Wizard? Like I'm up for that. But,
it really opened a lot of, because I feel like a lot of like musicians or people are probably striving to like, if I get on there, then I'm going to be happy, I'm going to make it. But like for you to be able to like have that.
It definitely like burns you out a bit for sure. Like I was saying before, it's like that's the only way to like be like a professional musician, is to like keep touring and doing that kind of stuff, and like, you know, selling yourself somewhat, which I don't really think worked for me very well. But it's definitely like, I feel like doing it on like a DIY level is much more something that I can see myself doing for longer, where it's like, you know, your friend who's in a band will be like, oh, come do this tour with us in Europe, and you're like, that would be sick, let's do that. Rather than being like, here's a sack of money, play this festival where like no one cares who you are.
Because there's a bit more, it seems like that disconnection of like, it's just
you become more of like a product, I guess. And just kind of interchangeable, you know, like it's one of those things where like, if you said like, I don't want to do that festival, someone else would just be there, like immediately replacing it. Whereas, I think sort of like organizing your own tours and, you know, not having like a manager or anything, and like just doing it as like bands trying to go play shows at places, it makes more sense. And weirdly with metal, it is that kind of thing where like there's this like built-in scene anywhere in the world for some reason. Where it's like, and also like, I suppose because it's like death metal kind of stuff, like no one can understand the lyrics, so there's no language barrier and that kind of stuff. So like, it's like,
because there's a massive scene, even what you said, Jakarta, in Asia, like all. Like,
I mean, like we did Japan, and that was like the last thing that we did before COVID. We'll be going back there, hopefully quite soon. And then Southeast Asia was incredible, and like made some like really good friends there that like we're still in contact with all the time, and really keen to go back there as well, and then all across Europe as well. We haven't done the States yet, but I feel like, I mean, I don't have like a huge desire to go there at the moment.
No, for sure.
And yeah, because I'm, you know, lucky enough to be like an American citizen as well. So there's always like that kind of like thing where it's just like, why don't, you know, we could go there, let's do that. But it's like, yeah, it's just a little bit crazy there.
At the moment. There's no, I mean, Europe's enough, I think. And
Asia. And
like,
you don't really need visas to go to those places either, which is sick.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. That's, yes, you've really, it's like interesting hearing it all, because like obviously all the bands you've been in, like it's started from like, you know, it still is like doing it at home, but then also being able to do it like touring internationally and being with people and recording with people, but also solo. Like I feel like you've done and recorded a lot over a lot of blankets of things. Yeah. Like, do you think on that, like to have all those experiences and stuff, and you know, like I don't know.
It's definitely like, I feel like the diversity of everything that I've been involved in is like a huge drive, I guess. And for me, for some reason, it does all connect quite clearly. Yeah. Because it seems like everyone that like I like doing stuff with is doing things for the same reason. Like I don't really like, I guess like associate creatively with people who are like very like careerist, I guess. And it's just like, that's the kind of thing where you just naturally end up grouping with people that you get along with, and you just kind of want to help each other out and like keep kind of like, you know, making, well for me it's like I like making kind of like music that I can't really play as well. It's like it's good to be constantly challenged and sort of, you know, be able to like help other people do that as well, I think is a big part of it. And yeah, keeping it diverse is like, I would just get bored otherwise.
But when you were saying like, even like what you said of it all coming from the same place and it all in your head like making sense between all those, like I think that makes so much sense in it. Like even for me, when I think of like when I've played like a football and I'm in the last quarter and it's like you're just like not thinking about anything else, like that's that feeling or like sensation after a game is like I try to put into like even this or like even prepping, this is just like my mind like for a game or this to me is the exact same thing, which is fucking crazy because it's like it's not like 2 hours of running around, but like I literally prep. Maybe that's just because that's what I like grew up, you know, like I'm just used to that routine thing of like I see this as like the exact same but I like it coming from the same sort of if that makes sense.
You know, I would think that like it's not really something that like I've talked to many people about, but I would assume that like a lot of people, like a lot of friends and like a lot of people who have like, you know, been on the podcast as well would probably say the same thing, that it's like it's just like, you know, what I do. And I suppose like that, people like that are always people that like I've always found like the most kind of like, you know, like attractive to work with and that kind of stuff. It just seems like, you know, like there's always like something to do for people like that as well, like, you know, they're never bored. It's just like I'm just doing this now.
It just makes it going from
and I would assume that like subconsciously that connects all of the people that I've put out and all the people that I've worked with in some way. Like no one's like, and it just kind of seems like everyone is just permanently doing it. It's just like there's no sort of like, even like people's circumstances change constantly, you know, like their jobs change and they're like, you know, relationships change and all that, but there's that one consistent thing which for some reason just remains uninterrupted, like no matter sort of like what challenges they're facing at the time.
It's almost like a way of processing all those challenges into like it for a lot of the time. That's what it is.
It's like that's, you know, definitely like a cliche, but I feel like it's that thing of like if you're going through stuff, it does end up in your art, for lack of a better way of putting it. But yeah, like I can't remember where I was going with that.
No, for
that
sure.
Was kind of related to the question,
No, but even 5-10 years later, you're going to be reflecting on that thing, and it comes out in your work or whatever.
Yeah, well, that was like I kind of like I stopped writing anything autobiographical a while ago, because like when I was playing in this band, the Stevens, and I was like singing songs, and the stuff off like the first EP was like about relationships that I was in at the time. And I was like, I really don't want to sing those songs again. But other people like, you know, liked them and could, you know, I guess relate to certain bits and would like hearing the songs. And then I'd be playing and it's like, I don't really like feel that way about that anymore. So it's quite hard to, but now, I mean, for the last however long, I guess like the lyrics have become like a lot more abstract, and I don't mind sort of revisiting those, because it's almost like, I guess, lyrically for me now, it's all just, everything is sort of just like a strange amalgamation of whatever I'm reading, whatever I'm watching, whatever I'm listening to, and then I just kind of like mash all those up in my head and put that out. And so like if I listen to like a solo tape from like 10 years ago, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, I remember like I was reading that poet at that time and I ripped him off in that way, and like that line was from this movie, and then it's just like a sort of like diary of what I'm ingesting media wise.
That's cool.
And that's I mean, that wasn't a question, but that's like I guess like a thing that I've been thinking about recently, for anyone who's like a like a creative person, is like that there's so much focus on the output, like all you think about is the output, but like the input is like equally as important. Like I feel like reading good stuff, watching good stuff, you'll make better stuff if you sort of like diversify what you're ingesting.
Man, that's such a great way of putting it, because it is like what you're taking in subconsciously, that
or even consciously. Like I feel like I'm like like I love reading and like finding like records that maybe people haven't heard and that kind of stuff. Like I love like when I've like found something and it's just like I'm gonna like absorb this, and it's like a very like intentional kind of thing that I'm like searching for inspiration constantly. And it's like it's the same with like like if you like eat shit food, you're not gonna feel good.
Same thing,
and you're not gonna like make good shits. Whereas like if you
like chia seeds and bananas,
exactly, like that's not gonna be pretty. But then if like it's the same thing. Like if you're just like on like TikTok all day or something, you're gonna make stuff that is, and again, like not dissing what people like to do, but I feel like you're gonna make stuff that in my mind would be kind of trash.
No, 100%.
Or just like not for me at least.
Or it's gonna be more based on like trends and like what's popping. Especially when you look at like the explore page. I'm not on TikTok and stuff, but when you get even the Instagram, like a lot of it is,
what is going on? Like
it is just like what's happening now, like the trends.
Totally,
so you're trying to like, I feel like especially for kids like that probably don't know any better, and you get into it, you're trying to make the stuff that you're just seeing now, and it's not like something that
and
maybe you have to go through.
And it's definitely not like the fault of the because I don't want to sound like too much like the crazy older guy who's like being like the kids these days, but like I do have some level of concern for like the type of media that people are ingesting. So like almost like accidentally now, it's just like you're constantly like swamped with like all of this stuff that like it cannot be good for your brain.
No.
Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like subconscious, like it taking it in. I don't even think we realize how much it's playing.
Yeah. I mean, like I just like, and it's addictive as well. Like I have to like delete Instagram every time that I post. I'm like, all right, I'm getting rid of this until like I have like another thing to post, because like it's designed in a way that you do keep going back, and you're like, oh, I wonder if anyone liked that post, and that kind of shit. And like it's I feel like it's not like the fault of the consumer so much that it's like that. It's like that's just it's an effective thing that has like grasped a lot of people. And it's not all bad. Like I feel like social media, especially like recently with awful things that have been happening all over the world, that's been like the real like window into it, and being able to like see horrible things happening like right in front of you, which that never used to be a thing. Like you would just trust these news sources
things, and
like I was like brought up in like a house where it was just like everyone loved the ABC, like you'd just be like watching the ABC, and it's just like whatever was said on the ABC was the truth. And then that was so crazy for me recently.
Well, even that shit, I know what you mean.
It's like you were seeing this shit happening and it wasn't popping up on the ABC, and I was like, well, what? It's like the ABC is wrong, and then I was like, okay, well I got to get like Al Jazeera and like the Guardian and like all these other kind of things to like get like a more rounded view of the world, and then you're still seeing stuff on social media. So it's like, why isn't this popping up? Again, I don't want to seem like like the like a crazy like internet conspiracy guy, but it is like there are so many like different like ways of viewing the world, and you almost like don't consciously pick which one you're looking through. It's just sort of like, because I guess everything is so sort of like tailored to the
individual now that like you see what you want to see.
Yeah, that's right.
And it is.
Yeah, what do they call that when it's like self? Where you just like, it's that, yeah, I forgot the word.
I mean, there's definitely a phrase for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm sure that there's a lot of writing.
Confirmation, but I don't know. Anyway, there's like, yeah, where you're just seeing what whichever side you're on, you're going to see more of that. And like, you just like feed deeper and deeper into. And that's why it's so important to like get such a broad, you know what I mean?
But that never used to seem like such like a thing, or maybe I was just like ignorant when I was a kid or something, or it just wasn't as accessible, because I feel like, you know, like I didn't have the internet for ages when I was a kid. Like it existed, but like I didn't like have like a very like computery house. Like my dad just got the internet like recently.
Really?
And like that's frightening for me, but he's like doesn't know how to use it, and I want him to like keep it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, for ages I just thought that, you know, these media outlets were just like these like bastions of truth. I was just like, whatever they say is what's happening in the world. But now it's so easy to like fact check shit. Just like,
exactly,
you can be like, is that right? And then you'll Google it, and then you'll be like, but is Google giving me the right results?
Yeah.
Like
it's
it's insane.
That's why at some point it's almost better just like tapping out in a way and just sort of,
I mean, like, I would love to tap out.
Yeah. Like, have you thought, but I mean, it's still nice to like get some work. Like obviously you got your Hobbies Galore account.
Yeah.
And to promote some
and that
shows
is like,
and like, that's an organic, nice way of like, it still like, has that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But it is like, yeah, it's a weird thing where it is just kind of like necessary if like you're doing everything yourself, and like it is literally like the only advertising channel that I have is that, because otherwise it's like, you know, no one's like going into like record stores anymore and like seeing like the poster of like the new album that's out. And I'm obviously like, you know, if I'm getting played on the radio, it's like only PBS and Triple R, and that, you know, otherwise like the only way that you can really reach a broader audience is through social media now. So it's like a necessary thing, but it's like, I know that like if I put a tape out and like I post it on Instagram, it'll, you know, sell out in like a couple of days, and then I can get rid of it and not think about it. Whereas if I didn't have that, I'd be like sitting on all this stock. And it's just, I mean, like I don't like push anything very hard, but it is like just a weird necessary kind of thing that you need to be involved in now, because it's just the way that people find out about stuff. And I mean, like I'd love to have like a, you know, a mailing list. That would be sick, but I just know that wouldn't work as well. Unfortunately.
Yeah, interesting, man. But it's funny how like underground and like sort of subcultures still thrive in these like ways on the internet too. Like you see, like there's so much that I've just getting into, or you just find out about that have been, you know, or whatever.
Or like, you know, like you'll like see something pop up and it's like a label that I haven't heard of, and they've put out like a tape, and I'm like, that looks interesting, and then I'll look at that, and then I'll look at all their other stuff. And like it is really easy to like stumble across really great stuff. And even like with like, I'm a big sort of like anti complacent listening kind of guy. Like I hate playlists and that whole culture, but sometimes something will like pop up on, like if I'm like looking at some, you know, obscure release on YouTube, and there'll be something in suggestions. I'm like, I've never heard of that.
100%,
and I click on it, and then I'm like, this is incredible. And you know, then I've got to like praise the algorithm. I'm like, wow, they got me.
I've definitely had that too, man.
You know, 100%. And so like it's not all bad, but I think that like the sort of more that people sort of like let themselves be dictated by it like unconsciously, the more it concerns me, I guess.
I agree.
Even though like I'm involved in it as much as anyone else.
I just think of young, I don't know, man, I think about it all the time, because I work at like I work with a lot of kids and teens and stuff, and I just see it like, it's just really interesting. But I just think, and how much it also comes out in their like personalities and their sayings, and like there's like kids that come in now, they're like 7 and they're like saying like internet lingo and and I remember, I just think it always just gets me thinking of like when I was 7, and like, you know, it was just a bit, you know, obviously there was computers and stuff, but there wasn't like this like, I don't know, it's just interesting to think of like, if kids are growing up fast, or they're seeing all this, like think of what like a 7-year-old or 8-year-old can see on like YouTube now compared to like a 7-8-year-old 20 years ago.
Totally. Like it seemed like the internet was like this kind of like weird like dark thing for me when I was a kid. Like I feel like, you know, like you'd occasionally go over to like a friend's house and they'd be like, check out this picture of like a guy that was run over by a train. I'm just like, that's fucked. Like, why are you looking at that?
Exactly.
You know, but it is like, but then like I also like, you know, like love like horror movies and that kind of stuff. But like there's, the access to that kind of stuff always seemed like this scary thing to me, and it still seems like that now. But everyone's just got it like everywhere. Like you're not like sitting down and like going on the internet, which is also funny to think back about because now you're never not on the internet. But it was like more of a conscious kind of thing.
Where now it's just like almost like this like second, like a third arm of like
totally just, it's like legitimately constant, and like like I hate it, but like I've got like it's almost like a nervous switch that you just check your phone all the time. This constant kind of like taking it out, looking at the time, putting it back, and then being like, I forgot what the time was.
Fully. I was going to ask you too, like how, and I've like even talking to people on here on like how important like being bored is and contemplating and like pondering, because that's like a thing of almost thinking of it now, like of the past, of like being bored,
seriously,
and like contemplating or just being in a reflective state, because now so much is coming at you. It's like, when do we ever have a time to just contemplate or like ponder on shit, or like you have this idea and maybe sitting with it, but then like you're on your phone, I don't know, do you think being like a creator and just like with what you do,
like it's, and I know this is like a thing for like a lot of friends as well, like it's a dangerous thing, and like that's why I have to like like actually like delete apps. It's just like, and sometimes I'll get home, if I've got like I'm on the train home from work, I'm listening to something, and I'm like, all right, I got an idea, I'm gonna try that when I get home. And I get home and I have to put my phone in like a drawer, and like I've never like had like it's like a weird like addiction kind of thing. It's like people that like like they're trying to quit smoking, so they like bury their cigarettes and then they go dig it up later and that kind of shit. It's like, I'm like, all right, put the bad phone away kind of thing. And there's no other object in my life that I have to like like banish. It's really weird to like have this thing that like I'm looking at all the time, and then like I get home and it's like, oh, that's bad, put it away. I got to get off that screen so I can go look at this screen.
That's what it
but
is.
But it's like good screen and bad screen kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what it is now too. Like, it's real funny. You like working on like I don't know, recording is like, that's good screen.
Totally, yeah. Or like I'm at work all day and like I'm like, well, I cannot wait to get off this computer and onto my other computer.
That's what it is.
Which like,
I'll be the same. Like if I've set a day to like watch a film, I'm like, totally. Like, this is like good time of like
totally.
I think intention is like, if you're like, I'm really like,
I guess it's like, and again, it's like the media that you ingest is like such like a huge thing for anyone, and I feel like the more like complacently that you do it, the I don't know, like I don't want to like fully generalize, but I feel like it does make you like a little bit dumber or something. Like if you're just like watching like whatever the new Netflix thing is, like, and it just keeps feeding you, and when there's no intention, like you lose like taste and you like lose perspective. Whereas like, I mean, I haven't like had like any streaming thing for like maybe like 3 years or something, and I've just got like a friend who won't be named, but he's like really good at just finding like any movie for me. And I've got like a spreadsheet that I send to him, and he like just finds shit. And so when I have a moment to watch something, it's like, all right, I'm going to watch this thing that I've been meaning to watch for like years. And I finally found it. And I'm going to watch that rather than like getting home and like turning like the TV on and being like, what's on? Like, the sort of like the intention of the stuff that you sort of like put into your head is like, and also like, everyone's like, it's like so expensive to like live at the moment that everyone's just like working all the time. So like the little bit of like spare time that you have to like view stuff, I feel like you really need to like make the most of it.
100%.
It's like, like whenever I get like, I'm quite like good at getting sick. I'm like, all right, I'm happy to be sick right now. Like I'm gonna like watch 40 movies in a row and kind of enjoy that. But it's like, that thing of like having like a stockpile of movies that have been recommended by like a trusted source or something. So I'm like, I'll watch that. And it feels kind of good. Like you don't feel like you're losing time if you're listening to something great or like watching something good. Even if you're not making something, you're just like, it feels worthwhile.
100%.
So I've been very rambly today.
It's good, man. I think about this stuff all the time, and it comes up just naturally with, I mean, talking to different people in this space, just, creatively or whatever, like it's something, because I think, I don't know, like I feel like if you're creating something, I think it's, you maybe think about it a bit more on what you're listening or watching, a bit more, because it's going to come out, like as opposed to maybe someone that isn't maybe creating something, maybe it isn't as, I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like, because even like spiritually for me, or like I think like everything is what you hear, what you put in your mouth, like I think all that shit, it like correlates like who you are, like,
totally.
And anyway, I think like what you're viewing, hearing, seeing, like all that comes into what sort of you were alluding to before.
It's huge, yeah. Like, I mean, like, I feel like, yeah, I mean, for myself, it's, I don't really feel like there's anything like particularly, well, there wouldn't be anything like, you know, even if there is like, I'm trying not to sound like a dick, but like, yeah, like I feel like if I wasn't like pulling stuff from like such different zones, then I wouldn't be making anything interesting, I suppose. And I reckon when I was a teenager, like I was definitely like a dick in school. Like I was like super opinionated, and I was like, your taste sucks, my taste is mad, like you're an idiot. And I've tried to be less like that, but I think that kind of like almost like competitive like gathering of knowledge when I was a kid like did kind of put me in good stead to have like a maybe like slight head start on like gathering some sort of taste, I suppose, which is like, but you know, you don't have to be a dick to do that. I've realized now, like you can, you know, people can enjoy their own things. They don't all have to, you know, listen to what I'm listening to.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Unless they're in my car, in which case, they're not getting the aux cord.
No, man. But yeah, I think being open, like you always learn something from someone. Like some people always put you on to like, I've had people that I've never thought you would think would put you on to something, you know, at work or something, and then you like get some amazing recommendations.
Totally, yeah.
It's
yeah. And you know, there's just so much good shit everywhere. Like I mean, like
it's hard to.
I guess like, you know, I'm lucky-ish at my job that like there is like a little bit of downtime where I'm just like in an office like at a computer and I can just like trawl Discogs and like try and find shit that I can then look into in my own time out of there. Like I feel like there's good like research time and having like a kind of boring job. Like even if I'm at work, it doesn't really feel like I'm like wasting creative time because I'm like compiling shit in some, well, also like I'm earning money to pay rent, which is important because I would have nowhere to make music if I couldn't do that. But also like you're sort of like gathering information to be used at a later date. Also, I feel like it's kind of, you know, it's a grounding thing to have just like a shitty job. I think it's important.
Because I was going to ask, like with working and you know, the music and all the other stuff, like do you like having a space? Because like for me personally, I love having like different worlds. If it was like you know, footy or work where it's like completely different doing this, like do you like having like where your brain or when you're in that space you're in a whole different Alex, like you're
I mean like I do like I like my boss, he's like a cool guy, so that helps, but I do like hate like a lot of my job, but it's just, again, it's just like necessary and it's easy because I've been at the same job for like 15 years. And it's just like I can totally switch off when I'm there. Like it doesn't feel that draining anymore. Like I just sort of like know how to do the stuff and I just turn up and do it and then I go home, and it doesn't like it doesn't take like any part of my like creative self to be there.
Cool. So like you can get home and you're like, I'm blocked.
Like I don't feel like like sapped. Whereas I feel like if I did briefly try to be like a professional recording guy, and I was like recording bands that I didn't really like, and that was draining. Like when I was like, fuck, I'm using like my, you know, like music head for stuff to make money, and then I would get home and be like, I need complete silence. Like I do not want to pick the guitar up right now.
Interesting.
Which I think like for me, like definitely like a lot of people can make it work, you know, but it just, that didn't work for me to be constantly engaged with music. It's sort of like, like it was really important for me to keep music and money as separate as possible. Like, and a lot of people can do that, you know, can make money off music like in like a good way, but I was just like, I feel like that wouldn't be for me. You know, some people can do it.
And also what you said, like you had that, not to say you, I don't know, but you had that small taste of what it was to be in a big, where there was maybe a bit more money involved and like big festivals and what you said of like that sort of thing, that maybe you know, you realize that the way you're doing it now is like
I mean like it works better for me, I think. Like or maybe I'm just telling myself that because like I didn't like hit it big. You know? Like maybe if I like had like a huge hit, then like I'd be like, man, that's mad. Like, why did I ever think about like working a job?
It's all that sort of.
I think it's just like, you know, accepting reality as well is an important part of it.
Just taking what is now.
Yeah.
Do you believe in like it's all written sort of thing from the start when you just to get into like, I don't know, do you think on that, like with like most people, you know, if you stepping into music, like, or one small just like one small thing of your dad being into music allowed you to do, do you know what I mean?
Like those like there's moments. A lot of like there's,
do you think
everyone's sort of like a product of their circumstances, but like whether they, you know, like I was obviously extremely lucky to like be born here and to have like loving parents and that kind of stuff, even though they were freaks. It was like, you know, like there was that kind of support, and without that I don't know if I would have become such a freak myself. Or like been like it's okay to do that. Like I feel like if I had like real like, you know, drill sergeant parents kind of thing, like maybe I wouldn't have been able to like explore all of the stuff that I did. So there's like there's like a lot of like luck, and then just like your circumstances, I suppose. Like I mean, it all plays into it. I feel like I was like, when I was a kid, I was like really kind of like almost like bitter about having like grown up like quite poor. I was like, you know, like you'd go to like a friend's house and they'd have like, you know, like biscuits and shit, and I'd be like, I'm gonna eat all those biscuits at this house because I'm gonna get home and there's gonna be like beers and that's it in the fridge, you know. So I was kind of bitter about that, but now I'm like, no, that was like, that's just the way that it was, and it allowed me to develop a healthy drinking problem from a young age and like allowed like all this other stuff to sort of like take place that I feel like you always kind of like want what the other person has when you're a kid. You're just like, you know, cool if I had that, but then probably like my more loaded friends would have been like, oh, it'd be cool to like have grown up in that house where you could take as much acid as you want. You know, maybe that would have been cool.
It's always like what you don't have. It's like, totally, it's even now it's always like what you said, like totally with anything. I always think of that. Like it's always like it's like quite a like, I find it quite a nice thing of like knowing that you're not really going to be happy when you get it, or if you don't get it, you know, just being okay with that. Not that you won't, not like in a negative sense, like you're not going to be happy if you get the thing or you don't, but there is that like high of getting it and then the come down. But then when you don't get it, it's like the constant strike. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like there's like, I feel like whatever sort of like you know, bar like you know, like a horrible incident happening to you or something, there is like pretty much whatever like you want to do, you can get if you like work for it, I think. And there's like a weird kind of like, especially like in like a lot of like creative circles, there's like a weird kind of like entitlement kind of thing where people think like, I'm really good at this, so like why aren't I getting this? And it's like, because like you need to do all of that other shit that sort of like allows you to get to like a certain level. Like nothing happens kind of like magically, I guess. I mean, not to say there's like no magic in music, there's plenty of magic in music, but like it is like a lot of it is just work.
Do you find that like, just putting in?
I mean, it's just like putting in time,
just showing
like,
up,
just like just effort, and like I mean, like that's not to say that like some people are like just totally naturals and they don't need to, you know, like they're just like charismatic and good and like have like a sick voice or something and they can just like do it and like turn up anywhere and it's sick. But I think for me it's just always been time. Like it's just like, you just, if I wanted to do something, it's like, all right, I'm practicing guitar.
What
like,
you're saying,
you know, like I have to sort of like put in that effort because I don't think that I was like particularly like naturally good at anything, but like I just wanted to be able to like make the music that I heard in my head, and it was always kind of complicated, and so like I had to like put in the effort to get from silence to music, I guess, via my brain. It's kind of a weird sentence. You know, sometimes you hear yourself saying something and it's like, fuck, can we just delete that immediately?
That's good. Yeah, wow, man. Have you had any, like, when you're up on stage or creating, do you have moments of just like it being like a transcending thing of like, I don't know if you're like wherever religious or think of like a higher sort of within yourself or outside, whatever you want to call it. Do you think much on that or in music and what it brings?
Like, I think more like not so much when I'm playing, like I feel like I get like a sense of like, you know, definitely like I feel like happy when I've like done a good show and I feel like sad when I've done a shit show. But it's definitely more when I'm watching someone else or listening to someone else that like, you know, like if I hear like a record that I've never heard before that just like hits me, that's like, or like if I'm like reading something and there's like a line that like really resonates, that to me is like the highest kind of like feeling of like a something bigger than people, I suppose, that I can really fathom. Like you know, like hearing like a song that, you know, even like I got all these like CDs recently that's like all these like compositions from like the 1400s and stuff, and like I'm listening to that and I'm like, wow, this is like still like hitting me as hard as it would have like hit some peasant back then. Like I'm like, how is like how is this still effective? And it's, you know, people are using like the same like 12 notes or whatever since back then, and it's still effective. And that's sort of like, I feel like, yeah, like if you make like a melody that like lasts for centuries, that's like, it's like one of the biggest things that like people can do. That's positive, at least.
It's almost like a religion or a god,
totally.
You know what I mean? Like it's transcending like or
like a lot of that music like was like that I was talking about like was religious. Is like a lot of like, you know, like chanting, and like it's all sort of like, so much of that music was about praising this higher power, but for me, like the music is the power, which is I feel like I'm just talking in cliches all the time at the moment, but that's like you know, like you don't want to be like, you know, music is my religion kind of thing, but it kind of is.
So would you say like did you grow up? Or
so would you officially say
put it on paper? Do you think, I don't know now, or like when did you grow up with like, I don't know, thinking much about religion or like spirituality, or like,
well, yeah,
I know you like, you read a lot and like, and like,
well, like
looking into things.
I suppose like both my parents are sort of like, I mean, they're just hippies, you know, like not in like a you know, derogatory way, but that's just like the way that they grew up. And they were just like, you know, like my dad would just be like, oh, why don't you check out like the Bhagavad Gita? And I'd be like, sure, I'll check that out.
Sick,
or he'd be like, you should probably like read the Bible. And I'm like, okay. And then he'd be like, here's this book called like What Buddha Taught.
Amazing.
And I'm like, well, check that out. And it was all just like, again, for me, it all just felt very connected, but it was like more of like a, you should read this so that you get what these people are on about, not so much of like, you should read this because this is going to be your life from now on. It was like just sort of like trying to have like a broader understanding of the world. I suppose I never really like got religion, you know, like it was not, I guess like it really just depends on how you brought up. It was just like, I think that having like an understanding of spirituality and religion was like a huge part. And, you know, like my dad would do this thing called Subud, I think it was called, where like he'd go to this like hole in the middle of nowhere and do like whirling dervish kind of shit, and then be like crawling around on the floor barking, and I'd be like, there's some freaky stuff.
Crazy.
Some real freaky shit. But, you know, it's like that sort of like, and then like my mum would take me to like this place called like the Tara Institute, where like you'd go and do like white light meditation.
Is that in Gardenville? I remember going there like when I went like a couple of times just to like, check it out.
And like, you know, all of that stuff was just like, it was about like, I guess like having like a connection with something higher, or like, you know, like a general sort of like just like a need to have some sort of like spiritual thing without it necessarily being like the answer to everything. It was just, you know, and it was, you could sort of feel comfortable taking bits and pieces from various, I guess, you know, religions or beliefs. But yeah, it's like, I'm no expert on it, and it's not something that I think about all the time, but it was certainly like a big part of my upbringing when I look back at it. But then it was also sort of like, and again, this is going to sound really cheesy, but there was no separation between like, I guess like reading like a religious text and like listening to like fucking like Peter Gabriel or something. It was like there was the same kind of thing. It was like, because I guess like you kind of forget that like someone wrote, you know, those religious texts.
Yeah, exactly.
And someone wrote like songs,
100%. And
it's just like, it's all expression, you know, it's all just like someone sort of putting down their thing. And like, you know, like their understanding of like reality in the world and that kind of stuff. And so for me, it was just, it never seemed that different, like, you know, like a book to like an album to like a belief system. It was all just like something that someone had made up.
100%.
You know, or you know, you don't want to get like really religious people angry with that. Like maybe it's not made up, maybe it's all real.
But no, it started like it was someone
which is interesting to think about.
That's a great because when you finish like a film or something, it's like you have a similar, most, you know, like that feeling of like, you can't put words to it. That's really what, I mean, that's what it is at the end. Like words are so limiting with like all that shit, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but here we are talking.
Just delete this whole thing now. We've just come to that point where it's just like, these words don't matter.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. I guess it's like everything's just like a vehicle, and you do it, and then you realize like you didn't need it, but it was just what else is there to do? Like you just do it, you know? Like that's what I found. Like need to do something.
It's all sort of like a step along the way, I guess, to where we're not sure.
Yeah. I guess we'll wrap it up pretty soon. How long have we been going for?
I have no idea.
Yeah, no, it's just like I was gonna say, like, what does DIY to sort of mean to you? Like, obviously, and I think for me anyway, being a little bit younger, like just seeing that era of like, you know, from 10, 15 years ago, especially in Melbourne, like the bands you were in, even with the Stevens and Twerps, and like what you were around and stuff. But just that whole, like, I just find it so interesting, that era, and when you look back at it, and it's still obviously continuing, and there's amazing things happening. But
I mean, like, I feel like I sort of like came in on the end of like, I guess, like the great sort of like physical media era of music. It was like, you know, like I would just go into the city when I was a kid, and like you'd go to like Missing Link, and you'd be like the record store that doesn't exist anymore, and you'd go there, and like you'd be like looking through the zines, and like they'd have like a system where like certain coloured stickers would be on certain records if like certain staff members recommended them. Cool, and like like Christoph, who's like this drummer who plays in like every good metal band in Melbourne, and like Dan from like Total Control and Straight Jacket Nation, this guy Leon, and like Tom Hardesty, who did Woolen Kits and a bunch of other bands. They like, if their sticker was on something, I'd be like, I'm getting that. That's like cool. You just like would just get it. And like they were all people who were like, you know, releasing their own music, and like, you know, there'd just be like burnt CDs on the counter, and there'd be like zines that were like 20 cents and that kind of shit. And like that just seemed like that was just how you did it. You know, like I was just like, I never like considered it as like a thing that was like an intentional approach. It was just like you went to like these record stores, or like you'd go to like underage shows, and people would have like their own like, you know, t-shirts that they'd printed like really dodgy on like their own like screen printing setup. And it was just like, you know, like I definitely like I outsource like a lot of stuff. Like I've got like friends who are like amazing designers, or like, you know, like I'll get like my friend Julian does like a lot of the artwork and design stuff for the releases, just because he's good at it. And he's like reliable, but and like, you know, like Mikey masters everything because he's like the mastering master. And that's just shit that I'm kind of like, that kind of stuff, I feel like that's totally fine for someone else to do. But aside from like certain things, I was always just like, I want to like I'm just going to do that myself. Like it seemed easier to be like, you know, all right, well, like I'll learn how to play guitar because I want a guitar on this track. Or like, because I started off as I was mainly a drummer for ages. And then I was like, you know, like, I want this to be recorded, so I'll learn how to record shit. And it was just like, it just seemed like easier and quicker to teach myself how to do as much as possible than to rely on other people. But I also I love like helping people as well. So it was like, if I within my like limited means of helping people, like I can really only help people with like audio queries. But like that kind of aspect, that every time that I was learning something for myself, I would know that like down the track I'd have like a friend calling me up being like, oh, like my computer's doing this, why is it doing that? And I'd be like, tell you what, that happened to me, and this is how you fix it. And that kind of stuff is like, you know, like I felt like I was always trying to like learn how to do stuff myself so that I could like tell other people how to do it themselves. And like I get like a lot of like demo submissions and stuff for the label, which is funny because I'm like, this is not a real label. Like,
just put it out
like,
yourself. Sort of
thing. I'm always just like 90% of the time when someone emails me with a thing, I'm just like, start your own label. Really, it's like it's like it's easier for you to do it than for like me to like make 100 tapes and give you like 20 and like neither of us are going to make any money off this. But at least if you do it yourself, like you get slightly past breaking even. And there's just like less kind of like stops along the way, I suppose. And but you know, like I get that like certain things, like you want to be like involved in like certain scenes or certain labels, and like that kind of stuff makes sense. But otherwise I just feel like the more that you can learn how to do yourself, like the better. And encouraging people to sort of be like self-sufficient creatively is you get less frustrated that way as well. I think like if you're always like relying on other people and trying to like make sure that someone else has the time to help you out with stuff, it's just like just do it yourself. Just you can rely on yourself for most things.
That's great, man. That's a great.
I don't know if that's like a good take.
No. It's just with
like, I'm not saying like don't like stop sending me demo submissions, people. I like hearing it all, and I always like listen to everything and try to give people like a good response. But if I don't want to put it out, it's like usually just like, well, I'm like, maybe this friends label will want to do it, but usually it's just like, just put it out yourself. Why do you need me to like send the file to the tape pressing place? Like, I can give you the email of the tape pressing place. And this could be out tomorrow.
All
like
that.
You don't need to like wait for me.
Do you think it's more simple than people think with that sort of stuff? Like,
yeah. I mean, like, I feel like people are just kind of like, a lot of people I think don't want to like seem like they don't know what they're doing or something. Like, they're like afraid to like ask like, oh, like, how do you get a song on like the streaming services? Or like, how do you like do this? And it's just like, if you just ask someone, then they'll tell you, and then you can do it. Because everyone knows someone who can like do a couple of things that they can't. And if you just like, I mean, people just need to be like better at asking questions. I think generally, because like the answer to pretty much anything is like right there.
But I found too, like, more people are open to giving advice and tips and recommendations or whatever, mate. Like, I think more people are more open than you think. I've got
like people who are like, I've been like emailing with for like years, who I like barely know, who like have just like asked me like what microphone I used for something, and then like they're still like like, oh, like if I've got like a weird like rumble on like a bass track, like what do I do? I'm just like, cut out this frequency. And it's like, I've never met this person, but just like
that's so cool.
Or like people that like I've never met that like are like, oh, like, what new records have you gotten? And I'm like, well, check this out, check this out. And like, like, I don't know, like, I don't really like the sort of like the gatekeeping kind of vibe. It's just like, everyone should be telling everyone how to do everything. As much as possible. I think like you want to have like some kind of like things that you keep to yourself, or like like there are some records that I'm like, I don't want everyone to know about that record, but if someone that like I think it will resonate with, I'll just be like,
check this out.
Like I like rarely keep anything to myself in that regard, which is probably annoying as well, because I'm always like just getting triggered on rants at people, and it's like, I'm at like a party and I'm like, fucking listen to this like 1920s Yugoslavian singer that like put out like one cassette, and then people are just like, can we just listen to Oasis or something? I'm like, no.
We're gonna put that on.
Just like being like a real bummer, which is annoying. I'm sure.
I mean, the best thing is when you find something like that is passing it on to someone. Like, if I'm like, it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night, I'm on YouTube, you find this like great card or something. It's like you want to send it to your mate. That, like,
and you've always got,
you want him to like receive and be like, are you fucking with it as much as I am? Or else you just get bummed out.
It's kind of disappointing when you're like, check this out, and people are just like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It's
but like, you just kind of want people to be as excited as you are. But then I guess that's why you end up sort of like continually recommending people to the same people, because like they're going to be stoked.
And they get
like I know that like if I find like some bizarre like pagan imagery or something, and I send it to like my friend Coco, he's gonna be like, that's fucking sick. But if I send it to someone else, they'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like you kind of like, you want to get that like response from someone being like, I also like this, and it kind of makes you feel like slightly better for having spent so much time trying to find
something. 100%.
Because otherwise you're just like, what am I doing with this information?
That's funny, man. What would you sort of, talking on the DIY thing, but what would you say to young people? I sort of that question comes up, but like, people that have been in the space you've been, and musicians, and trying to like get out their stuff, or they're doing it at home, and maybe they're that sort of thing.
I don't know, I'd say like don't be competitive, and like be nice to people, and like support your friends and that kind of stuff, because that is the kind of thing that allows you to have like a nice environment to create in. Like, I feel like the sort of like the more generous you are with other people, like that does come back, and like you can, I don't know, like just like you don't want to just be like support the scene kind of thing, but like support the scene. That's like like go to shows, meet heaps of different people, like everyone's like had a different life and they've got like a different thing to pass on to everyone. I'd say like, yeah, just like diversify your intake of media and just try to make friends and be nice to people and do it yourself.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. Yeah, I just think because like I think especially now how it is easier to like you can put out.
It's tough to give advice to because I have no idea what it would be like to be growing up in the world currently, like what we were saying before. Like you don't want to just be like like record to cassette and like put out a tape because like record to your phone and like put something on YouTube. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But for me, like the end point of any creative process was always like a record or a CD.
Yeah.
That's just what it was for me. Like that doesn't need to be what it is for anyone. But I do feel like you also don't like need to make anything public. Like just you can do it for yourself as well. Yeah. But I do feel like for me at least, there's something very freeing about putting stuff out. Like it's not so much that I want people to listen to it, it's so that I can stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's like just get it out and then it's done. And like, don't be too precious with stuff, I guess. Just like be willing to fuck up and like work outside your comfort zone. I think that's all kind of important. I mean, it does mean that you end up like making like a lot of embarrassing mistakes at shows and that kind of stuff, but that's all part of it too.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, man. Great way to I think it's important, that sort of thing. Just start, like, even I think in starting this, like, it's crazy, like, when, and I mean, you've probably had it happen hundreds of times when you just have that idea and it comes into, like, reality, and then you have to deal with, like, the things that are bounded by this reality of, like, putting it, because in your mind, it's, like, infinite.
Like, it's kind of endlessly satisfying, I think, to, make something that wasn't there before. That's, like, that will never, like, well, I mean, I say that now, who knows how, like, bitter I'll get later in life, but like that is something that's like never ceasing to be exciting, to sort of like be like, like you lose like a couple of hours and then at the end you're like, this song didn't exist before. It's just crazy to be able to like think of something and then make it. And like that is like, it's always exciting to sort of be like, like even if it's a shit song, like it didn't exist before, and that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Wow, man. And one thing I too wanted to ask was like, I know you've mentioned in a couple interviews of like, I think you have like insomnia or like you walk or like there's something with, and like I know that's how you like take in a lot of media and just reading and like movies and stuff, because you don't like sleep.
But that's also, I guess that's like when we were talking about like not finding, like having time to ponder, I suppose. That's really good pondering time. Because
so do you, I'm just like curious, like how,
because I'm just like fucking, if I'm awake for like a whole night, like I still lie in bed for like the time that a normal person would be sleeping.
Crazy.
But like, like it doesn't, that's the one time when like as you're trying to sleep, you're just like, go to sleep. But you can't, and like your mind, like it's just because I can't stop like thinking constantly about just stupid shit. Like I mean, like I'll tune in on my thoughts sometimes, and this is gonna make it sound like I'm insane, but like sometimes like I actually like I'll clock on to my thoughts, and it's just like I'll be like, what the? It's like just like a cacophony of sounds and words, and just like all this shit happening. I mean, I'm sure that other people get that as well, but it's like you kind of like forget that you're thinking, and then you tune in, and you're just like, that is an insane amalgamation of sounds in my head right now. And so like I'm like, and that's like the time, if I'm like in bed at like from like 11 till 6:30 when my alarm goes off, and I don't sleep, that's like a time when for some reason I'm not thinking about like contacting people or like looking at my phone or doing that. It's just like, no, this is the time that you're resting.
Yeah, right.
So it's like I'm sitting there like, or lying there and awake, and it's only if it's like I've really got something like important to do the next day that I'll be like, nah, I'll read until I'm tired and then I'll go to sleep, hopefully. Or I'll take like a really powerful sleeping pill. Which is not a good thing to be dependent on all the time. Sometimes you're just like, if I'm like, fuck, I'm like flying to play a show tomorrow, and I feel like I'm getting like a bit sick or something, like I absolutely need to sleep, and so then you have no choice but to knock yourself out a bit. But that's a real thing. I don't sleep very much.
Just because you've mentioned it in a couple of interviews, and
I feel like I mention it a lot.
But I mean, it's
kind of like explaining and like excusing myself for being like kind of looking like I'm like 50 years older than I am, and being like grumpy or like that kind of stuff. So it's like I feel like the more that I mention it, the more like free passes people give me for being like a bit grouchy. It's like,
let him go. He doesn't sleep.
Like, it's like leave him alone. Like
No, that's
he said that crazy thing because he didn't sleep.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's tough. I couldn't imagine like that's.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like the whole family like
has. Yeah, so I read that.
Yeah, which we all struggle with sleeping a lot.
But I guess it gives you the time of what you said of.
I mean, there's like a lot of reading time if you're awake. Like I think that people, well, I don't know, it's different for everyone, but you kind of like you do learn to deal with it.
Yeah, right.
Like I don't like need much sleep, and it sort of like has become quite useful on tours, I think, as well. Like if like, you know, you're playing in like fucking somewhere in like Finland and they're like, here's the accommodation, and you're like, oh, this is like a garage with like no beds. And you're just like sleep in that corner with like the sawdust. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, the next morning, like everyone else is all like achy and being like, oh, that was such a shit sleep. And I'm like, let's go. This is fun. Like that works for me. That's when it sort of like comes in handy. But otherwise it's like, it's not ideal. I would love to sleep better.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like I've tried a lot of stuff. But
yeah, I was gonna say, like, has it been? Did you?
The one time
go...
that like I actually could sleep well was during lockdown.
Oh, really?
And that was like 2 years where like I didn't have shows. I didn't have like to leave the house. I had like a regular exercise schedule. I didn't drink for like almost the entire lockdown, and that was like the only time that I've had like a regular sleeping pattern. But it's like, okay, so in order to sleep like a regular person, I need to have an event that totally changes the world.
Come on, we just need one more.
I know, we need one more massive lockdown. But like, yeah, selfishly, I kind of loved lockdown.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it too.
It was sick, but like again, it's like that you cannot replicate that in life unless I like quit every band somehow, convince my bosses to let me work from home, stop drinking, and do all of that. It's like that.
There's a lot of interesting.
That's like, you know, that's not going to happen again. But at least I know that like it is like it's because I always assumed that it was just like a genetic thing, but it's like, I mean, there would be some of that, but it's like it's like a lifestyle thing as well, and having like, you know, so much to think about all the time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if people like aren't stressed, then they're not like paying attention, because it's like the world is insane.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, man, it's tough to
not to be like a massive bummer.
No, it's like there's a lot of processes, everything. But there's only so much you can. It's hard because there's only so much you can obviously do too.
Totally.
You know, but that balance of like, even individually, like, am I doing enough for what's happening?
Yeah.
Even like in the world, it's for myself. Like, it's such a
it's a tough. Yeah, and I do feel like
that's
I'm
just
like,
being human. Like,
I feel like I'm like really aware of the fact that I live like quite like a selfish existence, where like everything that I do is just about me making music. You know, and it's like it like I'm not like harming anyone, which is like a plus, but I'm also like not really doing anything to help the world. And that is a concern. But I don't know. I should be doing more.
No, I mean
everyone should be doing more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
but especially me. You know, I need to try and save the world a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't know if I had anything else to.
Yeah, shit. I feel like I've really like.
No, we went through like
rambled on like a lot of topics.
Yeah, no, I just think like, I thought, it's good talking about like all the bands you were in, obviously, and there's been some silly shit that I've put up. But you floated through it. Like, have you thought? Do you reckon is this the Twerps or Stevens? Is that something you guys would ever go back to? Or?
I don't think so.
Is it
like, I would like to make music with all of the people who were in those bands, but I wouldn't want to rehash any of those projects. You know, like, I still like love all of the people that I made music with in all of the bands that I've been in, and I'd like to, you know, make music with a lot of those people again. But it is like just like certain chapters are closed, I guess, for me at least, because I want to like move on. Whereas like I know that like it'd be fun to play some old songs and like do those shows, and there would be like an immediate kind of like satisfaction in the fact that I think that some people would like maybe want to go to those shows and hear those songs, but it's just not really like, that sort of response isn't the reason that I've ever done anything. It's like more about moving on. But yeah, like all of, you know, I also wouldn't like mind if those bands like wanted to do something like with me not in it. Like I'd be like, if you want to do those bands, just go for it. Like I don't really like feel much like ownership of anything that I've done. It's just like, go for it. Like I don't want to hold anyone up.
No, for real. But it seems you just, which is I think a good mentality of just like moving forward onto the next thing and like not thinking too far past.
Totally, yeah. But again, like that's not like an approach that like is what everyone wants to do. I mean, like some, you know, folks would be really happy to just have like one sick album and
just
tour that forever.
But that's why there's no right or wrong. Like
exactly. It's just sort of like what works for you and what isn't like a depressing reality for you. Like whatever you can do to make your reality slightly less depressing is, I mean, it's a challenge.
For sure. And I guess I'll leave it on like what sort of success mean to you. Pretty broad and loaded question, but just I think being a creative musician. I think we'll leave it on that.
I don't know. It's like
tough one.
I mean, for me, like I guess just making things is the like once you've made something, that is the success in itself. Like the response to that thing is of like little importance in my mind. Like just getting your idea out is like the process of making it and then making it and then putting it out. That's the success. Like I feel like also like I love getting like some like praise from like a friend who like I really respect the output of, you know, like if I like make a song and like, you know, like my friend like Fuge or like Gus or Jules or any of these people or Mikey or Raven, like all these people whose like music I like and who I've worked with, if they say, that last tape was your best one, I'll be like, sick. That's good. That is sort of like the, you know, the most like external kind of like peak of success for me is when like someone whose taste I respect seems to like actually earnestly think that something that I've done is okay. Whereas like getting like a lot of listens on the internet wouldn't mean as much, but that is obviously still nice. Like if, you know, you get like played on like a radio show or something like amongst other people that you respect, it's like that's cool. But I feel like getting that like direct kind of like affirmation from someone who's like someone who you've like worked with or like whose taste you respect, I feel like that feels like success for me. If like you sort of like, you know, if you like someone's output and they like your output, that feels good. No, it's nice to, what I was saying before too, when you sort of, when you're unsure of like maybe what you're doing or like a little period goes and then you get something like that where you get some nice, just with someone you respect or someone. And it doesn't take much.
No, it could just be like a simple, like I've had it like just the most simple thing or with anything and it's just like a nice, just like a reminder of like, okay, like there is some meaning in what I'm doing.
Totally, yeah. It's like, someone heard that and kind of got what I was trying to do. Like that's rare but nice.
No, thanks so much for coming on, Alex.
Thanks for listening to all that bullshit.
A lot of rambling, but no, it was beautiful, man. I'll put obviously like the Bandcamp for Hobbies Galore. People can check out like your solo stuff and
cool.
The stuff you put out on there. And
nice. And I'm looking forward to seeing like me among all of your other guests.
We're gonna get the photo.
It's been a really good it's been like a really like diverse group of people that you've interviewed. It's been cool to watch. And I'm looking forward to being among them.
I appreciate it. I'll put your TikTok in too. So.
Wait till the dancers catch on.
Imagine Hobbies Galore TikTok. But like you're properly. Just imagine, like you're properly delving in.
I don't want to imagine. I've got some friends who are like really across it, and they sort of like send me the highlights of that world, and I'm like, look, thanks for sending me that. I'm not going to get involved.
I'll put that in the blase one, little ramble. But no, thank you so much, man.